Iran's Revolutionary Guard say they have struck military bases in Kuwait and Bahrain, and this is in response to the latest US strikes on Iran. Iranian media, citing the IRGC, reported that during two waves of operations, 18 key US military targets were hit at Ali al-Salim and Ahmad al-Jaber air bases in Kuwait. The IRGC also claimed to have struck Sheikh Isa air base in Bahrain, following reports in Iranian media that the US 5th Fleet headquarters in the country had also sustained attacks. The US military has said that it has completed its latest wave of strikes against Iran. In a statement, the US CENTCOM, Central Command, said that its forces targeted Iranian military surveillance capabilities, communication systems and air defense sites across Iran. Earlier, Iranian media reported explosions across the country's south near the Strait of Hormuz. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy announced that the waterway would remain closed until further notice, citing what it described as repeated ceasefire violations by American forces. According to Iranian media citing IRGC, two vessels attempting to transit Hormuz were hit after a warning that any ship passing through the strategic waterway could be targeted. CENTCOM said no US ships were struck, while adding that commercial ships also continue to transit in and out of the waterway. The latest US attack came after President Trump said that Iran would be hit hard, as he accused Tehran of taking too long to make a deal to end the war.
They should sign their deal. It's a good deal. It doesn't give them the right to have a nuclear weapon. In fact, it totally prohibits them from ever having a nuclear weapon. And it was just tap, tap, tap. I don't know what they're doing.
The Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, suggested that the strikes could extend into a third night, saying they would be strong and clear.
Instead, they're going to have tap, tap, tap bombs dropping on key facilities in Iran from the United States of America. And that's not because we want to restart anything we don't have to restart. It's because the War Department is prepared to set the terms to ensure that we get the kind of deal President Trump expects.
In response to Donald Trump, Hegseth's comments, Hegseth's comments regarding Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian said that Iran will stand firm against any pressure or threat. And a little while earlier, I had spoken with Bill Roggio. He's a senior fellow at Foundation for Defense of Democracies and editor of FDT's Long War Journal. We discussed the situation as of now. Listen into these excerpts.
Yeah, this is one of the few things I would agree with the president on since this war began, at least in the messaging, that this has been the worst ceasefire I've ever witnessed. The ceasefire began in April 23rd. It was supposed to reopen the Strait of Hormuz in exchange for the end of strikes on Iran. Neither of those things have happened. The U.S. has been striking Iran regularly because the Iranians continue to close the strait and continue to attack U.S. forces as well as neighboring countries. So this, as far as the strikes go, Trump's inclination since the ceasefire began in mid-April, or towards the end of April, is to strike and then pause and then try and reinitiate negotiations with the Iranians, and that's been his modus operandi. But then there are reports that he's been very frustrated. You've seen this in his response in the press over the last several days. It's very clear he's unhappy with the Iranian response. So it's really difficult to know where this is, but the strikes are, even since the ceasefire began, or even over the last couple of days, have yet to reach the intensity of strikes that began when this operation began on February 28th and ended on April 23rd. Daily, both the U.S. and Israel were heavily targeting Iran's its industrial capability, military-industrial capability, and as well as leadership and other military targets. So we're not seeing that level of military operations from the U.S. so far.